Watch out!
Nintendo, you've been pretty greedy as of late. While a lot of Nintendo's pricing and business decisions have been clearly inspired by the global trade wars and conservative leadership of our time, there's still a lot of greedy decisions being made by them independent of all that. It doesn't get much worse than selling a user manual for your new system to your player base for $10. I say that, although today's news actually proves that, indeed, it can get even worse. We've been keeping an eye on the Pokemon vs. Palworld lawsuit that's been going on for a while now. The world is watching, and for good reason. This lawsuit has the potential to change the gaming landscape completely, depending on how it goes down. It could possibly open the door to making gaming experiences much more limited for players, because it would in turn limit developers on what they can do with their games. Now, hate whoever you want. Be it pocketpair, the creators of Palworld, or Game Freak, the developers of Pokemon, or just straight up hate all of Nintendo, look, I don't care. But all of that means nothing when looking at this case, because there is one clear side that needs to win this for all our sakes. They need to win to stop the gaming industry from taking a complete nosedive for the worst. And clearly I'm a Pokemon fan, because look around. But I'm also not dumb or blind that they're in the wrong here. In case you're unaware, pocketpair is being sued by Nintendo for patent infringements in their game Palworld. And their claim is that they're infringing on gameplay mechanics, specifically from the Pokemon Legends series. The kinds of patents Palworld are being sued for keeps increasing as the lawsuit progresses, to the point where Nintendo and Game Freak are now claiming ownership over the very concept of gliding through the sky on a creature, or even flying through the sky on one. As if Game Freak and Pokemon were ever even the first to do this. I guess we'll just have mass amnesia of the countless games that exist utilizing this mechanic. Hogwarts Legacy, Dragon Quest, Monster Hunter, and so many more. But I hope you see the kind of precedent this would set if Nintendo wins this lawsuit. If they win, that means we'll see a mass clamor from game developers to patent entire mechanics and claim ownership over them in a way that disallows other games and developers from using them. It could be even something as simple as pressing a command to begin a dialogue between characters on screen. You know, something that we do in almost every single game we play. If these are actually the kinds of things that a company can claim, then all of the rights and ability to make games will rest in the palms of a handful of companies, as no one else will be able to use these mechanics in their games. If basic commands and functions in games are held hostage, we'll see far less games being made, and the games that are made will be lower quality at that. Now, with this lawsuit in particular, we've already seen Palworld make huge changes to its gameplay to accommodate the lawsuit against them. Pals are no longer caught or summoned with Pal spheres, they just kind of pop in and out of existence near the player as summons. Now, they're having to remove the ability to glide with pals, a basic function of the game that lets the player hang on to or ride their pals to traverse the world. You know, a concept we see, again, in so many different fantasy media. But now Pokemon is claiming ownership over this concept. If they win this, no one else will be allowed to do this in their games. And heck, Pokemon does this terribly in their own games. Just look at janky Scarlet and Violet for proof. This is a good example of the kind of dropped quality we'll see in our games if this lawsuit works in Nintendo's favor. Now, Palworld's answer to this is to change the glide mechanic to having an actual man-made paraglider instead of pals. This is obviously a disappointing change already. It's far less creative, makes less sense for the setting of Palworld, and oh yeah, wait! This might seem like an elegant solution until you remember that Nintendo made Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where Link requires a man-made paraglider to traverse the skies. So, again, do you see where this is going? What's to stop Nintendo, the same people already suing Palworld for these types of patents, from patenting using a paraglider in video games? Then no other game will even be allowed to do this basic concept either. Guys, this is ridiculous. There comes a point where we can't let this sort of thing stand. We're already dealing with anti-consumer BS, now we're having to deal with anti-developer BS? Who's winning in this? Oh yeah, just that handful of people we talked about earlier. These corporations make their marks by stepping on the people around them, and while I wish so bad I could have something more positive to say for Nintendo, since I love their IPs and the games they've given us through the years, lately, I can't do that. They're rearing a really ugly head, and I don't want any part of it. I hope Nintendo loses this lawsuit, and that they lose it hard. I hope pocketpair wins, that Palworld gets restored to the game it was, and that freedom to develop games with no limitations is preserved. Games are art. Sometimes art is completely unique, but other times it's derivative. Is derivative art automatically worse now? Hell no! Look at derivative works like Naruto, Expedition 33, and Okami. Do you think people are unhappy these shows and games exist because they took inspiration from Dragon Ball Z, Nier Automata, and Legend of Zelda? Absolutely not. Heck, there are some people that might even argue that these are better than their inspirations, depending on which ones you're discussing. That's just the nature of art, of video games. I'll repeat, regardless of if you hate Nintendo, if you hate pocketpair, if you hate Game Freak, hell, if you hate the fan bases, there is clear right and wrong in this court case, and every single one of us, as gamers, need to be rooting against Nintendo on this one. Solely on principle, solely on freedom to create art as we desire. I've been johtojonny. If you'd like to support me and have your name featured at the end of all of my videos, please join my Patreon with the link in front of you or in the description. If you want to see more of my videos too, they're linked in front of you and in the pinned comment. Whatever you choose to click, I'll catch you all in the next one.